My name is Jerry Shantz, and I was the chaplain here for 25 years, from 1980 to 2005. I was very fortunate to get the job here. Richard Bradley hired me and then immediately left. And Jerry Packard came in, and he was here for 8 years, and we got on very well. He was a great friend. I've been around to all the chapels in the private school system, and this one is by far the most magnificent. In fact, it's the best college chapel in Canada, I think. The Cornerstone is right over in that corner. June 7th, 1921, it was laid. And then the whole chapel was dedicated on June the 17th, 1923. And when it was dedicated, the headmaster at the time was the man who actually was the founding headmaster, Dr. Miller, and his opening sermon. And he says something in there that I'll never forget, and that was, this chapel compels us to be better people, no matter what we believe. And he was bang on. It's exactly what this chapel was for. But the theme of this chapel, all of it, is service and sacrifice. Everything in it is dedicated to people who did something for somebody else. It was built in honor of the 61 boys whose names are carved on either side of the altar. The figures, in liturgical terms, it's called a reredos, but that's what that screen is. And in the middle is the child, Jesus. He's about 13. Richard Bradley used to say, I wonder what that man at the back, who's the figure Jesus, looks up here to the boy, what he says to him, what advice he gives him. It was a wonderful, wonderful story. He said, that's why we're all here. And the interesting character, I think, in the whole reredos, outside of the apostles, is the one on the corner here, is dressed in the battle dress of the First World War. He's the unknown soldier. And you'll notice the figure of the boy Jesus. I remember I told that story about he's missing a thumb. If you look closely, it's his left hand. And a boy snuck in here one night, was putting up a banner. He wanted to put a banner across that reredos, and the ladder slipped. So it went like this, and he grabbed the first thing he could, and it was the hand of that Jesus, and broke off the thumb. But I always kept that thumb in my desk drawer.
The chapel organ was, I believe, installed in 1925, not long after the chapel itself was dedicated in 1923. When I first arrived at the school, the console was by the stairs, not in its present location. And right now I'm sitting at the console where we've rolled it out, which we do on occasion when concerts are being given here. It was put on a moving platform in the early 1990s when a new console was restored and installed that has a fourth keyboard, and there are about 3,100 pipes now. It's a bigger organ now, and it's a better organ. In 2006, I believe, on the 40th anniversary of the class of '66, we dedicated some new pedal stops over here on the pedal organ, 3 32-foot stops. So these give it a bit of a rumble. You can feel it, you can hear it, and it gives it the big cathedral sound that is so rich, and it just rolls in these acoustics here. So the organ not only is a magnificent instrument, but in this room with these fantastic acoustics, it's really wedded very well to this space. The significance of music in the chapel, it's a rich tradition here, both vocal and instrumental. The CBC used to come here quite frequently to record music ensembles and for broadcast because the acoustics are so good. So there have been a number of concerts given here, as well as special services like evensong services to mark the occasion of the anniversary of this chapel. And I've invited Peter Partridge, former director of music, to come back and conduct, and we were fortunate to have him here for that last big anniversary. He just passed away this year, but Peter Partridge left a rich tradition of combining both choral and instrumental music when he came here from Westminster Abbey as a new director of music in the 1960s. The Festival of Nine Lessons and Carols is the greatest choral tradition that still carries on here at Ridley. It's offered now on the last weekend before the end of first term, and it's offered on a Saturday and Sunday afternoon, and we pack the place out. The organ, choir, and brass ensemble that perform at that service accompany the readings that are chosen for that particular service, and it starts in candlelight with a lone soprano soloist singing Once in Royal David City from the back of the chapel, and then we process up and the lights come up and the congregation joins in, and it's a wonderful way to start the Christmas season. So it's a terrific tradition that goes way back. The chapel choir started, as far as I know, under Dr. Sidney Bett, who is director of music here from the 1920s right through to 1964, and the choir still sings the descant that he wrote to the school hymn, Father in Heaven. So musical traditions include the singing of the great hymns of Ridley, and they can be found in the hymn book that's dedicated to our former headmaster, Jonathan Lee.
There were at least 4 or 5 popular hymns that they didn't even need the hymn book, they just sang them.
Probably the favorite hymn right now, and it has been for several years, of course, is Lord of the Dance. And during the last verse, the kids love to jump up when they sing the lyrics, leapt up high. So that's a fun one, and it always catches our visitors off guard and surprises them, and it's a uniquely Ridley tradition.
And often the hymn books would go missing. That's why I came in early, to find out if things were, and usually they were hidden in that altar, which is empty. It's just so they threw them all in there, and I'd hurry up and quick put them back to catch them, and they'd say, where did he find them? Where did he get them? And one day, I think my favorite story is Jerry. Jerry and I used to meet at the back there, and I said to him, where your chair is, and his chair was up here, there's a Coke machine. And I don't know where your chair went, but you're gonna have to sit with the choir. And he said, well, and it was too heavy to move for 2 of us. I mean, you know what Coke machines are like. So he said, have you got any change? So I rooted around and found a couple, and we walked in, and he put some money in the machine, and he got out a Coke, and he sat down right here and started drinking it, and he diffused the whole thing. I mean, he was wonderful that way. As you know, he could do things that would catch them, and the people were, the students, I looked at them and they said, wow, this guy is sharp, he's cool. It's what we'd call cool today. And he finished his Coke. We had whatever we did, and we got up and we left. So I said, that was a brilliant coup you did there. And he said always, he could have got very angry, as you know. He said, but always play their game. Always, and he caught them. Gotcha.
The windows in the Lady Chapel are all dedicated to Old Ridleians who passed away far too soon. Each one honors their memory and pays tribute to the things that they loved in life. What I loved most about the chapel was the feeling in that room and that space. It's so beautiful to just stop and look up and look around and see the architecture and the stone and the grandeur. but it's also so warm and comforting. It's definitely a place that you can go to and find solace and almost hear the voices of the choir resonate off the walls. And every time I walk in there, I can hear that. And I can also hear Reverend Shantz and the stories he would tell. I can hear his voice every time I go in there. So sometimes it's a difficult place to walk into. And I can hear the voices of the students as they gather, and hopefully most of them getting ready to learn and to have a different experience. The things that I learned in that space, in a lot of ways, were a lot more profound than what I learned in the classroom.
I get people say to me, I remember your chapel talk about the other tire, or the word sincere. I said it's a word that I think if we knew the derivation of it, we might tend to, when we say it, sincerely yours, it means it's the real me. It's speaking. Nothing phony here. It's just sincerely. And I remember saying, look to your left, look to your right. Doesn't matter how rich you are, what you believe in. This place is for all of us, because we can all be better people. It's full of laughter. All those things that really make us feel good about ourselves and about each other. So I think that's why I would remember this place most.
So the chapel is always kind of a growing place. The chapel is full of dedications, not only the windows, but there's plaques all over the chapel to various members of the Ridley family, with the latest one being this dedication to Reverend Shantz that was funded by a group of alumni that got together to honor his memory. And it's stunning, it's beautiful. I can't think of a better tribute to him.